I'll start with the Patriots. They had a very weird draft for the most part. I gave it a C-. I think in terms of them getting late picks, I didn't think they did as well as they normally did. They reached a lot early on in the second round to me. Kyle Duggar was a very good combine story, D2 safety. And again, he's somebody that Belichick could definitely work with. But again, a little bit of a reach. I like Anthony Jennings, but again, not much else really to like with the Patriots. They didn't draft a quarterback, which a lot of people were surprised at. I think they didn't draft a pass rusher besides Jennings, which I was surprised at too. I thought they were going to go after Epinesa, or they were going to go after somebody maybe earlier in the first round, maybe trade up for Chason before the Jaguars got to them. So Patriots as a whole, a C- for me. Next, they'll go to Miami, the next lowest grade on my list. I don't think they did terrible, but I think they could have done better considering the amount of picks that they had. I gave them a C+. Obviously, we knew they were going to draft a quarterback, which ended up being Tua. And I like the pick in the second round, too, of Raekwon Davis, the defensive tackle out of Alabama. Curtis Weaver, a nice fifth-round pick as well. Beyond that, I think they reached a lot. Austin Jackson, I think, yeah, you need an offensive lineman, but it was a little too early for my liking. The corner they drafted at the end of the first round, Noah Igbinoghene, he might be a scheme fit, but I think it's a little early for him as well. So I just think they reached too much for a team that had so many picks and also has so many needs. You can't try to do that until you have a lot of other things solved. So Dolphins get a C+ for me. In terms of the Buffalo Bills, they didn't have many picks, but they made a lot of them work. I gave them a B+. I think they did a nice job. It was very good value. They got Epinesa at the end of the second round, which I think was a great pick for them, substituting pass rush depth after losing Shaq Lawson last year. And he's going to be a nice player on that team. He doesn't really need to be a number one guy right away, even if they're worried about him being still kind of raw. He doesn't need to be that on that defense, because that defense is loaded. Zach Moss, very skilled running back when healthy. They got him in the third round, and he'll be a nice player to complement Devin Singletary. And then you got Jake Fromm as a solid backup quarterback, who I think is a nice, safe option to back up Josh Allen if Josh Allen gets hurt. And certainly is a lot better than what they had with Nathan Peterman. And Isaiah Hodgins, a speed guy, Oregon State wide receiver in the sixth round, that definitely could be a good option too. So a B+ for me for the Buffalo Bills. And then the New York Jets, one of the big winners for me in the NFL draft. They get an A. I think they really did a really good job with a lot of great value picks. Mekhi Becton in the first round. They needed offensive line. They go offensive line. A little raw in pass blocking, but he has great speed for his size. Played in an RPO offense with Lamar Jackson at Louisville for a year. And once he gets that pass blocking up, he's going to really be able to develop into a nice tackle. Denzel Mims was one of the best value picks, maybe the best value pick of the second round. Zuniga, the pass rusher in the third round. LaMichael Piron I like in the fourth round as a good power back to give Le'Veon Bell a breather. And a lot of good value picks. And I love Bryce Hall in the fifth round too. Bryce Hall was one of the better corners in the nation before he got hurt. He tore his Achilles during the college season this year and probably would have been a second-round pick, maybe late first-round pick if he played well. And the Jets might get a steal. He's not going to be able to play well this year, just coming off the injury, just an injury recovery. But in the future, he could emerge into a number one corner. He is that talented. The Jets had one of the best drafts in my board and get an A.
Really? You gave him an A?
I did.
Interesting. All right, so as you guys know, I'm going to go through, just like the AFC, just like Speedy Petey, I'm going to go with the top team of the AFC East this year, all the way to the lowest team, the Miami Dolphins. So here we go. The New England Patriots. I was very surprised they didn't draft a quarterback. Jordan Love was right there for them for the pickings. They decided to not draft him. You saw Green Bay move up and grab him. I was very surprised they didn't go after quarterback, but we've seen this over and over again with the Patriots. I believe they're going to be looking for a quarterback in next year's draft. There's Fields, there's Lawrence. I could see them trying to make a move for one of those quarterbacks in next year's draft. So I like what they did. They added some defensive help, but you know Bill Belichick's all about defense. He likes to bring in defensive players. He brought out a couple of DBs in the later rounds. He brought in a safety in the first round. I like what they did. Kyle Duggar is a good young player. A lot of teams were very interested in him. A lot of people thought he was going to be possibly a top 10 pick. He fell down to the Patriots in the 20. I think he was 23rd.
No, he was a second-round pick.
I'm sorry.
They traded back from the 23rd pick.
That's right. So go back to the thing. I'm looking at your pick. I'm not looking at the picks on my computer. So I like what they did with Kyle Duggar. I also like that they also had another second-round draft pick. Josh Uche, whatever his name is, another good player, linebacker from Michigan, very good player. can get to the quarterback, can blitz. This is what the Patriots like to do. They like to try to find linebackers from big programs. You've seen Dante Hightower. They've done this year in and year out. This kid who also played for Michigan, another player that they drafted last year from Michigan.
Chase Vinovich. Yeah.
Chase Vinovich, who they know each other very, very well. Linebackers, both of them are linebackers. They're going to be connected with each other now with the New England Patriots. So I like what the New England Patriots did in their draft. If you were to ask me what I rate them, I rate them a B- for the draft. I thought they were going to go after a quarterback. I thought they were going to go after some offensive linemen, especially a center. I think they need a center on that team. So I was very surprised that they didn't go after a center. Buffalo Bills. Now, I think Buffalo Bills had a very good draft. I really do. Now, you talk about Buffalo. They added Stephon Diggs. They added Josh Norman in the offseason. That was a big pickup for them. Added another corner, a secondary corner that they needed. But in the second round, Buffalo went after. And this is what Buffalo did in this draft. They added offensive weapons for Josh Allen. They added Jake Fromm. I was very surprised about that. But I was very surprised that the Jets added a Morgan in the draft. But they need a backup quarterback, and Jake Fromm is a good, reliable backup quarterback. We'll see as he progresses. A lot of people thought that Jake Fromm 2 years ago was going to be a first-round draft pick, and then this year he didn't have such a great season, and he fell off, and he was a fifth-round draft pick. So I thought Jake Fromm was a good value pick in the fifth round. They added a lot of good offensive weapons for Josh Allen. I think that's what you need. You have to. What you see in this division, it's going to transition to an offensive division. You saw what the Jets did. You know what the Patriots are, even without Tom Brady. You know they're going to add offensive weapons as they progressively move forward, in the next couple of years. So I graded the Buffalo Bills a B+. The New York Jets. Now, everybody says you're a New York Jet fan, so I'm not going to be biased. I'm going to be honest. I like Becton as the 11th pick. I really do. He's the biggest offensive lineman we've seen in the last 10 years. 6'7", 364 pounds, who can run a 40 in 5.1 seconds. So the speed of this kid, the footwork that this kid has, and even though he doesn't have the longest arms out of all these offensive tackles in this year's draft, he's amongst the top 5 players in this draft with the longest arm. So the guy has tremendous body structure as an offensive lineman, and he can do a lot of things good. He's one of the best run stoppers run blockers in the FBS. So I like what he did. I like what they did over there. Now, round 2, I like what Joe Douglas did. He had the 49th pick. They drafted down. They gave it to Seattle, and they got an extra third-round draft pick, which they traded with the New England Patriots and added 2 fourth-round draft picks and a 6th round next year. So I love what Joe Douglas did. And they still got their player. They still got Denzel Mims, who from Baylor, who's a very good offensive wide receiver who can jump. He could do a lot of acrobatic things, and he's very fast. He ran a 4.3 at the combine. So I really, really like that pick. But I think the pick of the day in round number 3 was Ashton Davis, who was, to me, the second best safety on the board behind, what's his name again, from the Giants?
Xavier
McKinney. So I like Ashton Davis very, very much, very underrated. And some people think that they're going to use him as a cornerback on this defense. They're going to move him in the nickel packages, and they can maneuver him on the safety positions and the cornerback positions as they move forward. I really like this kid. I'm looking at some of the players. James Morgan was, to me, they really liked him. Now, they need a backup quarterback. You saw last year with no backup quarterback how much trouble the New York Jets had last year when they didn't have a backup quarterback for Sam Darnold with the mono situation. So I like James Morgan. He's a guy that he's a project, and I think the Jets really, really liked him, especially at the combine. They gave him high grades. So a lot of people were very surprised, and it was a make-or-break draft because of James Morgan. I beg to differ. I think he was a good pickup. LaMichael Perrine, I don't know much about him. I know he's a power back. Some people compare him to Sean Green that used to play for the Jets. A guy that can block. He's a good run blocker. So he's a guy that is another work in progress for the New York Jets. I'm going to question why they picked him in such an early round. Some people thought he was a 5th-round draft pick, but the Jets really liked him. Also, another 4th-round draft pick that I absolutely liked, this was a steal in my eyes for the Jets draft, was Cameron Clark, who was a Charlotte. He played for Charlotte this year. He was one of the best offensive tackles in the nation in his division. And now they're going to probably move him to guard because they're going to maneuver him in all different ways for the Jets, especially with their offensive line clustered right now with Font and Van Rothen and all the different players that they brought in the offseason. I really, really like this move, and they can maneuver him at the offensive tackle position and the guard position because he has said that he can play multiple positions, including center. Also, I love their round number 5 pick with Bryce Hall, who could have been a top pick in the 1st round or possibly a top pick in the 2nd round. He fell all the way to round number 5 because of injuries. This is a guy that tore his Achilles in the middle of the season. He only played 6 games last year. Kid's explosive and one of the most underrated corners in this year's draft. The Jets stole him in the 5th round. He could be their starting number 1 next year. He will not play this year with his... they're saying he might play at the end of the season, but he probably will miss the whole season.
Right, still recovering.
With his Achilles.
He's probably going to miss half the year at the very most. And you don't expect him to see him probably until the end of the season.
And then there's Braden Mann, who I don't know much about, but another pick that a lot of people liked in the round number 6. A guy that a lot of people thought was a 3rd, possibly a 4th-round draft pick. He fell all the way to the 6th round. So he's another steal for the New York Jets. So I graded the Jets an A-, B+, A-. That's where I graded the Jets. I gave the Jets the highest grade in their division, not because I'm a Jet fan. I think the Jets did enough in the draft, especially adding offensive line help. They gave themselves a future left tackle. I do believe Becton will start at the right tackle position early in the season and eventually be pushed over there to the left tackle position. They're not going to start him at the left tackle position early because they want to give him confidence. They want him to work on his footwork and all that other stuff that you need to work on before they move him to the blind side of Sam Darnold. So I gave the Jets a B+, A-. As far as the Miami Dolphins, I was questioning the Tua move by them. I know Tua was a highly profiled player coming into the draft. This is a guy that tore his hip. He ripped his hip. He had hip surgery at the age of 19 or 20 years old. He's a quarterback. He uses his hip to throw the ball. So if he gets hit from a 360-pound lineman, what's going to happen to that hip? That's going to be the question. He says he's 100%. The Dolphins think he's 100%. But is he 100%? I don't know. So I'm questioning their 1st-round draft pick. Then they have a couple of 1st-round draft picks, but their 1st pick. Their 2nd pick, Austin Jackson. I don't know much about Austin Jackson. What did you think about Austin Jackson?
A 2nd-round grade. He's a decent speed blocker for the most part. Better run blocker than he is pass, but I thought they reached on him. I thought he was more of a 2nd-round prospect.
But Noah, I like the Noah move. He's a cornerback. I think he was a late 1st-round draft pick, early 2nd-round draft pick. But I have seen a couple of clips of this kid. I wanted the Jets to draft him in the 2nd round if they had an opportunity to draft him. Obviously, they didn't. So I like the kid from Auburn. He was the best corner for the Auburn Tigers. Robert Hunt and all the players. I'm looking at all the players. Raekwon Davis. I don't know anything about Robert Hunt, but Raekwon Davis is another player that a lot of people thought could have been a 1st-round grade player, defensive tackle, can get to the quarterback. He's a good run stopper, Alabama native, so I like him. I was very surprised they got him in the 2nd round at pick number 56. So he was a steal for the Miami Dolphins. All in all, I graded the Miami Dolphins, to me, a B. I gave him a B because I'm not sure what Tua is. If Tua comes out and he's a strong player, I could grade him higher. But I don't know what Tua is, and if I don't know what Tua is, I'm not going to grade him that high. So I gave him a B.